Who am I? That's an impossible question to answer. New Jersey, 6927. That's what I write. I think my Axis paints influenced my painting. At 92, it was getting very hard for me to schlep that camera out. I wasn't going to stop being creative because that's who I am, that's what I do. I've started painting full time. What I believe is we are capable of greater control than we have experienced before. Try to find new options for eliminating things that you find destructive and liberating things that you find creative and supportive. Life goes on. Be good to it, it'll be good to you. Who am I depends on who's looking. Because we always bring to the individual we see assumptions that may or may not be relevant, experiences that may or may not be true. So I just think that who I am, and who I am partly depends on who I'm with. It's not that I'm schizophrenic or that I'm, what's the word where you're one thing one time, one other. Anyhow, it's that I do think, as the good book taught me, be all things to all men. It might have said be all things to all people. That would have been better, but then this was said many years ago. And I do think, while I don't bend myself out of shape, and I will never express myself disingenuously, I do think that we are obliged when we're being with people to be with them in a way that makes them comfortable. Because what happens is that then they will be more of themselves with you. And so it's not that I'm being generous, it's I'm being facilitating the best possible interaction. And that's what's good. I formed a men's group with Sam Keene, an author friend of mine in California, 60 years ago. And we've had this for 40 years, we had this men's group. And we realized that men are not very good at being who they are with other men. They're being who they want to appear to be with other men. And so to get people just to be comfortable with themselves, so we have our men's group with no women involved, because when a woman is involved, a man adjusts himself. Sometimes they become worse, incidentally, as you may have discovered. But often they don't become themselves. So it was going to be strictly men. And then we started here. I wasn't going to have a men's group here, though. Not the idea of running men's groups. I only did it because I thought it was useful and valuable, and it was. But a friend of mine went to hear a speaker over in Princeton. And we were chatting with one another, having a good time. And the guy in front of us said, "Excuse me." I said, "You're excused, what do you want?" He said, "Well, you guys are having such a good time with one another. I don't have any male friends." He lived in Stockton. "I don't have any male friends, and I really miss them." Well, I said, "You know what? You just got two." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I think we'll start another men's group here." And so we did that. And we now have 9 men come everywhere. And that was the point where they said, "Look, if you want to join the group, it's every Wednesday. We don't want occasional encounters. We want a commitment to a relationship. Occasional encounters are fun things. A commitment to a relationship is something very different." Some wonderful ways and some terrible ways, as most significant influences in your life turn out to be. The wonderful way is that since I couldn't dance or drink or go out with the crowd, because couldn't go where they could go. So I would stay at home and I would draw. So I would go to my room and I invented baseball teams and I drew every member of the team, and I invented places to go and I drew that. So while other kids were out dancing or drinking or doing what normal kids do, I was in my room drawing. And that turned out to be what you see on the walls. Well, I got out of the Navy. I went to work for a filmmaker, religious filmmaker, as an art director. It was called Good News Productions. So we brought good news to the world about how Jesus will save you if you just allow him. I wasn't crazy about it, but it was a nice job. I was an art director for films. I was the art director on The Blob. I think I told you that, yes. That was my big art directing challenge. It's a funny thing because I went back to Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, where The Blob was shot in the Colonial Theater. And every year in the Colonial Theater, in July, they show The Blob. And the whole town comes out. It's not just called the showing of The Blob, it's called The Blob Fest. And everything on the street is about The Blob. People dress up as like them. And the first time I went, there was this lovely looking middle-aged or older Asian lady there. And I said, I hope you're not offended, but I'd just like you to tell me why you're coming to see this movie. She said, I come every year. I've come here for the last 10 years. And the reason they come is that they all know the film. So everybody knows the film, and just before, the guy discovers the blob on his arm, everybody goes, oh! So it is funny to watch a film like that everybody watches, and not because it's a good film, but because there's something about it that it's a clever film. It is a clever. It was well written. It was Steve McQueen's first feature film, and he did a good job. The others were less good, but Steve McQueen was very good. He was very happy to get a feature film. He'd never done a feature film before. He did many since then. I forget what it was. Anyway, it was a gelatinous glue that he would take a spoonful out. He would sell you a spoonful of the blob. And I thought, why aren't they? People will buy anything. I would look in the mirror first, and I'd say, Jesus, you look old. But now that we've gotten that out, tell me about yourself. And I could do this. When I would finish a film, I would look at that film, and I could do this, which most people tell me they can't. I could look at that film as though I didn't make it. And I would look at it and I would say, and Shirley would hear me say, why are you saying, what did you do that for? You were the one that did it. But I would say, Ben, why did you not ask, after he said that, why didn't you ask him this? Well, because he said that, you could have asked him this. And I would call myself out for not doing as good a job as I could do. But I think anybody can do that if they are willing to try. Just imagine yourself not being yourself. Imagine yourself being that person sitting in front of you, and you don't know who they are, and you've never met them before. What would you like to know about them? And so that's what I would ask myself. I said, when you were a kid, how did you feel having to sit in your room and make drawings while other kids were out playing with one another? I could go through my life and I could ask myself questions. I could do that. I began painting mainly when I went to college, in Wheaton College, because I studied under a painter, Carl Steele, who I will never ever forget in my life. Carl Steele was the kind of person who I call authentic. And there's not many people who really, Carl was totally authentic. There was nothing about him that was made up. There's nothing about him that was an accommodation. He one day said to me, "Bill, do you know how to use a drill?" I said, "Carl, what do you want me to be, a carpenter?" No, of course I don't know how to use a drill. He said, "Remember this, the more you know, the less dependent you are on anyone else." Did that stick? And that's a good thing. It's true. The more you don't have to do it, but the more you know. So I learned how to use a 1/4-inch drill, and that 1/4-inch drill is still somewhere in this house. It's now a very old drill. And because we went there, it was a lovely place to be, but I was getting bored. So much green is wonderful, but nothing but green everywhere you look is like, hello already. I've seen enough green. So she said, "Well, why don't you draw? Why don't you paint?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I could do that." And I went on this wonderful store who had just everything. They had everything from shotguns to glue guns to paintball. I mean, it was an unbelievable country store. And so I went there, they had paint. They had oil paints and canvas, and so I got it, and that's how I started to paint. I think my access to paints influenced my painting. I really couldn't. At 92, it was getting very hard for me to schlep that camera out and go on rotation. So I would go out with other people, but I just stopped shooting. And that's when I wasn't going to stop being creative, because that's who I am, that's what I do. So I started painting full time. The trees allow me to interpret them in whatever way I choose. Skinnier or fatter, brighter or darker, crinkled or crumpled, wiggled or broken. Tree is a very patient subject for me. And it also doesn't require me using somebody else's time, I did a painting for a friend of her father. It was all right. I've done a few. I have a couple of paintings I've done of people, but they're not fun to do because I feel obliged to make people look their best. I mean, that seems appropriate. That's what one should do. And sometimes it's just you ask a painting, as I ask my friends, "What do you need?" And literally I say, "Okay, what does this painting need?" Well, sometimes I say, what it needs to be is thrown out. Oh, okay, well maybe I'll just paint over it because I don't want to buy a new canvas that size. But I think if you pay attention to people, you find out really what they really need. And if you pay attention to painting, you'll discover what it really needs. And if you don't, you just won't do it. But people do, that's what the great thing about the men's group is that because there's no wives who they might want to get approval from, or no friends who they might want to get approval from, they'll talk about things that they've never talked to before. And guys will say, I never said that before. And we of course will in chorus say, "About time you said it, and here's the place to say it." So providing the context for people to be who they are, the best of who they are. And that's the other thing, is I have really no interest in seeing the worst side of people. I know my worst side. I can guess their worst side. No thanks, don't show it. That's why the only person I don't have a relationship now is my youngest son, who somehow they just cannot accept the fact that I am who I am. And he can't accept the fact that he is who he is. So every time I used to call, and I called, he's now 50 years old, I called regularly, again and again and again. He would constantly get angry at me. But finally last month I decided, this is not helping him, it really isn't. You don't help somebody by making them mad. So, okay, it's his fault, doesn't matter. You don't help somebody by making them mad. So I told him, I said, oh, you're not going to hear from me anymore because I don't know why I'm not helpful, but I'm not. And I apologize for that, but he's done. So he has not called, and I will not call him. And it's sad because you don't want to cut off a relationship with anybody if they are capable and willing to have one with you. I don't plan anything. I think plans are disruptions in the possibilities in your life. I don't want disruptions in possibilities. I want to preserve possibilities. So I do very little planning. And that's why I have a friend of mine last night at the men's group meeting. He said, it was today's Friday, it was Wednesday. He said, I'm having trouble sleeping. I said, well, why do you think you're having trouble? He said, well, I can't stop thinking about things I need to do. I said, no, you can't stop thinking about things to do. You just haven't done it yet. So tonight, when you start thinking about things you have to do, remember, you can't do them now. So since there's nothing you can't do now, don't think about it. When you're capable of doing it, then think about it. And it's funny, he called me yesterday, he said, man, that worked. What I believe is we are capable of greater control than we have experienced before. Try to find new options for eliminating things that you find disruptive and liberating things that you find creative and supportive. I'll probably want to take till I die. My father was pulling aphids off of his tomato plants as he was dying with lymphocytoma. I will probably be holding a brush, and my wife will say, you just dropped your brush, Bill. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Life goes on. Be good to it. It'll be good to you.